All right, y'all. So Ben Shapiro absolutely crashes out. Candace Owens, Tucker Carlson, literally everybody at the TPUSA AmFest event. And see, what a lot of people like Ben Shapiro don't realize is that this shit doesn't work anymore. Like, this just makes people more invested into Tucker Carlson, more invested into Candace Owens. Like, the reason why the conservative movement, the conservative party is splitting apart is because we see that you guys are the corporate Republicans acting just like the liberals. You guys are acting the same, trying to silence people, talking about platforming people. Like, no one cares about that anymore. No one respects that anymore. You can't silence people and think that you're going to win in this whatever war or battle that you believe that you're in. Ben Shapiro, you didn't like Charlie Kirk. Stop acting like you liked Charlie Kirk. Let's be real. So let's listen to what the hell he has to say, because he crashes out on everybody, y'all. And this shit is wild. It's absolutely wild. Let's get into it.
But today, I want to talk about something even more important. How to discern those attempting to speak truth from frauds and grifters. Because something is new. An informational environment rife with both opportunity and chaos. Opportunity because the legacy media gatekeepers are no longer in charge of what we see and what we hear.
I know, because you guys are now trying to act like the legacy media to gatekeep the certain things. It's you guys now. You guys are acting in the same place as the legacy media. And they're not buying it. We're not buying the shit no more.
And chaos because an anarchic informational environment means we actually have to be smart in how we assess the information and arguments that we hear. Why does that matter? Well, because today the conservative movement is in serious danger. It is in danger, not just from a left that all too frequently excuses everything up to and including murder. The conservative movement is also in danger from charlatans who claim to speak in the name of principle, but actually traffic in conspiracism and dishonesty, who offer nothing but bile and despair, who seek to undermine fundamental principles of conservatism by championing enervation and grievance. These people are frauds, they are grifters, and they do not deserve your time. And they are something worse than that, a danger to the only movement capable of stopping the left from wrecking the country wholesale. So today, I want to discuss...
It's not just about the left if you guys are corrupt too. See, a lot of people are seeing it like, no, y'all are corrupt too. That's the problem. See, a lot of people voted for Donald Trump and supported Donald Trump because we believed that he was the one that wasn't going to be corrupt. It was going to open up the door to all the corruption that's been going on in our country for over 50 years. But now, y'all just want to talk about the right to corrupt. No, we're looking at y'all sideways too. Y'all corrupt too. You corporate Republicans are corrupt too.
5 obligations that people who speak to you on matters of importance have to you. I want to speak to you about our duties. Our first duty is truth. We owe you the truth. That means we should not mislead you. It means we shouldn't hide the ball. We shouldn't be deliberately obscure about what we're telling you. We have an obligation to clarity and to honesty. This means that we actually have to be clear in the language that we use. We should not traffic in generality. We should not say things like, they shot Charlie, without specifying whom we mean by they. The person who allegedly shot Charlie Kirk, and whom all the evidence points at, all of it, is a gay, trans-loving furry.
See, I look at that as BS too, right? You're using the same propaganda that the liberals use. You try to make it seem like it's the white supremacists or the Christian nationals that are the evil to the world, so we must silence them, we must stop them. You're trying to use the same rhetoric that the trans movement or the LGBTQ are the problem, which was, I can potentially agree with that, but this is the narrative that you want us to follow. But we're not just following that narrative. Like, that may be true, but there may be other things that are going on as well. Why? Because the history of our government has shown otherwise. And you want us to just believe this shit for whatever reason. Make it make sense.
If we are going to target ideological movements, we should talk about the fact that the radical trans movement treats all those who oppose it as existential threats. Or if we're going to talk about the...
Just like you're treating them as existential threats. It's the same thing. It's the same exact thing.
Democratic Party making room for the radical trans movement and echoing its inflammatory rhetoric, well, we should talk about that. Those are specific problems, and they require specific responses. When people say they shot Charlie, however, they are instead trafficking in vagary that results in increased hatred without proposing any effective response. They are fostering despair and rage, and that makes things worse. We must also be honest about what people say and do, regardless of what that means coalitionally. It is the job of politicians to build coalitions. It's the job of those of us who try to shape public opinion to hold politicians to account and to hold them accountable to our values.
We don't care about your public opinion, Ben. We don't. We don't care about it, bro. It's clear that you're bought out. We don't care about your public opinion.
We must not let fear of audience deter us from telling the truth. We must not let fear of other hosts deter us from telling the truth. So, for example, if Candace Owens decides to spend every day since the murder of Charlie Kirk
Look at this nonsense. Look at this nonsense. Candace Owens is the only one asking questions because, again, our government has lied to us over and over and over again. Because she's asking questions. She's just the most evil person in the world now. Your whole speech at AmFest is about Candace Owens? Seriously? It's pitiful.
So, if Candace Owens decides to spend every day since the murder of Charlie Kirk casting aspersions at tpusa and the people who work here, who worked with Charlie every single day, his best friends, to cast aspersions at Mikey McCoy and Andrew Colvin and Blake Neff and Tyler Boyer, and yes, at Erica Kirk.
Listen, if they didn't lie, Candace would have never cast any aspersions against them. They lied. It's clear as day that they lied. Andrew Colvin, he was removed by Charlie Kirk as was it the CFO? The chief financial officer or the COO, whatever the hell it was. He was removed. Why was he removed? We want these questions. You guys talk about transparency. That's what all Trump and this whole administration has been about, but it has not been about that. So since Candace is asking these questions, because Candace is staying true to what the whole MAGA movement was about, you're mad at that now? No, you guys are just corporate pawns. Corporate political pawns.
And to imply or outright claim complicity in a cover-up over Charlie's murder, to spew absolutely baseless trash, implicating everyone from French intelligence to Mossad to members of tpusa in Charlie's murder, or a cover-up in that murder, then we, as people with a microphone, have a moral obligation to call that out by name.
You think you're so strong and bad, huh? Look at this motherfucker, man. I'm appalled. I'm appalled, y'all. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm appalled.
Erica Kirk and tpusa never should have been put in the position to have to defend themselves against such specious and evil attacks, particularly in a time of mourning.
I can agree with that. But if they never lied about things, then they wouldn't have been in this position. Like, again, when Candace first started doing this quote unquote investigation about this whole Charlie Kirk stuff, she was not implicating tpusa. But when the inconsistencies started to come up and when they were lying about certain things, that these lies have now been proven to be lies, and Erica has agreed that some things maybe have been misstated and they were just mistakes. How is she wrong by that? Why are you lying? Why are you lying? So it's your response that has Candace on this witch hunt. It's your response to it.
And the people who refuse to condemn Candace's truly vicious attacks, and some of them are speaking here, are guilty of cowardice. Yes, cowardice.
Oh, he calling Tucker out. Because Tucker's supposed to speak later today. He calling Tucker out right now. Maybe they believe it, bro. Like, you guys act like Candace Owens is the only person that believes these things and that she's just creating this narrative that people are following. No, people already have these questions, bro. That's why they're following Candace Owens, because they already have these questions. She just is the loudest and the biggest voice, and you guys are mad about it because she's taking up the marketplace.
The fact that they have said nothing while Candace has been vomiting all sorts of hideous and conspiratorial nonsense into the public square for years is just as cowardly. Second, because we owe you the truth, we owe you the duty to speak out of principle, not personal feeling. It should not matter whether we despise someone or whether we love someone. The question is what they say and what they do, and whether those things are morally decent or not. On a political level, do they foster freedom, justice, and prosperity?
Candace is looking for justice.
On a personal level, do they treat others as they would wish to be treated? Personal feeling is not a substitute for moral judgment. To take again the Candace Owens situation as an example, friendship with public figures who say or do evil things is not an excuse for silence on the matter. Politics is not the sisterhood of the traveling pants. Politics is about principle, and if you are willing to sacrifice basic truth and simple principle in favor of emotional solidarity, you have betrayed your fundamental duty to the American people. First off, I should break the omerta here and just be a little bit clear.
Somebody tell him that he's not that important. Nobody cares about nothing you're talking about, bro. You're not that important, Ben. I'm sorry. Respectfully, you're not that important.
The notion that people in our industry are close friends, like we all take holiday breaks with each other and go to each other's kids' graduations and stuff, is generally untrue. Some people do that. Most of us don't. We see each other at conferences and we talk on the phone and all the rest. We're business colleagues. But even if it were true that other public figures were our best friends, our very best friends, that does not relieve us of our duty to speak out of principle and not to cover up evil or shy away from addressing it out of friendship.
I think that's what Candace is doing. I don't think Candace is against TPUSA. I don't think she wants TPUSA to fail. But out of truth and principle, she will call out the lies that TPUSA has been spewing to find out the truth. That's exactly what she's doing. They keep showing the people that clapping and shit. Like all this is a show. This is just a show to make it discredit Candace and make it seem like Candace is crazy. All this is fake, y'all. It's all fake.
No, Tucker Carlson, it is not an excuse to go silent on Candace's targeting of TPUSA.
Oh, I'm sorry, y'all, if you keep stopping it, but he called Tucker out. Tucker is speaking later today. I'm going to do a reaction video to what Tucker got. I haven't even heard what Tucker got to say yet. I'm going to do a reaction video to that too. But he's calling Tucker out. They're mad. And the only reason why they're truly mad is because Candace and Tucker is not on the same agenda in terms of the Israel agenda. I have to whisper it because I'm going to get in trouble if I don't. That's all this shit's about. And we all can see it, bro. We all can see it. Like, they're not against America. They're against that stuff. And I'm not even saying that I'm with them to be against that stuff. Like, listen, I don't know enough. I don't have enough knowledge for all. I don't have it. But that's the only thing that you guys are mad at. It's the Israel stuff. And Tucker and Candace have been the only ones that are going against it. So that's why he's calling Tucker and Candace out about it. And we see y'all. We see clearly through all of this shit. It does not work anymore, Ben. It doesn't fucking work. Excuse my language.
Or to mirror her bullshit lines of questioning because you love Candace personally. The same holds true of Megyn Kelly, a person I consider a friend, characterizing Candace as a young mother and thus shying away from condemning her actions or fibbing about them. That is a
Jamie called out Megyn Kelly too. I ain't know Megyn Kelly was gonna get the stray.
Non-starter. Meghan Markle is a young mother. Ilhan Omar is a young mother. That doesn't matter. And when Megyn said this week, quote, "My goal and my job here is to try to understand, yes, where Candace is coming from on this," and says she sees no purpose in inserting herself, quote, into this on one side, that is a moral and logical absurdity. There is only one moral side here, Erica Kirk's side.
False, 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 false. This is when they do that psychological operation that Candace always talks about. That no. It's not only one moral side. That's what the liberals do. The liberals have one moral side, that you have to think this way, and therefore this is good. And the conservatives have an opposition side. There's not one moral side to this shit. You're not the moral superiority to any of these things. And this is what you guys have criticized the liberals for doing for ages, that they have a moral superiority, that they think their moral superiority is better than the conservatives' superiority. It doesn't work that way. So you can't say that there's one moral superiority and it's Eric or Kirk. Nah, F that. It don't work that way.
You know, the side of the widow with 2 children whose husband was shot live on camera in front of all of us. Friendship with the person accusing tpusa of a cover-up of Charlie's murder is no excuse for cowardice. Third, and relatedly, we have a duty to take responsibility for what we say and do. If we hire awful people, we're responsible for that. I have some experience there, as you might suspect.
He only dislikes Candace Owens because she has a negative opinion on Israel. That's literally it. There's no other reason. My alarm. There's no other reason. It's that simple. So it's like, where do you lie at, Ben? Like, where are your standards at? Where do you care about? America, or do you care about America and Israel's relationship? Like, let's be honest. Like, let's just be truthful right now. It's the only reason why you don't like Candace. It's why you fired her. It's why you did it, bro. Be honest. We can see through it. It's not working anymore.
That means that if we offer a guest for your viewing, we owe it to you to ask the kinds of questions that actually get at the truth. If we agree with the guest, that's fine, but we should own it. So, for example, if you host a Hitler apologist, Nazi-loving, anti-American piece of refuse like Nick Fuentes, you know, the Nick Fuentes who said that the vice president of the United States is a, quote, fat gay race traitor married to a Jeet. The person who said that Charlie Kirk was a, quote, retarded idiot. The person who said, and pardon my language here, it's his quote, that he, quote, took Turning Point USA and fucked it, and that's why it's filled with groypers. If you have that person...
Again, I don't agree with Nick Fuentes at all. I do not agree with Nick Fuentes at all. I don't know if I'm even saying his name right. But the thing about Nick Fuentes and the reason why he's rising to power, I don't want to say power, but his popularity is rising. Candace's popularity is rising. Tucker's popularity is rising because they're telling the truth. They're being honest with people. They're saying what you guys won't allow to be said. You're acting just like the liberals. This is the point. But you're talking about platforming people. When people have conversations with people, they can talk to whoever they want to talk to. What are y'all talking about? Really, what are you talking about?
On your show and you proceed to glaze him, you ought to own it.
This is sad, y'all. This is sad.
There is a reason that Charlie Kirk despised Nick Fuentes, and indeed even chided Dinesh D'Souza for debating him. He knew that Nick Fuentes is an evil troll, and that building him up is an act of moral imbecility. And that is precisely what Tucker Carlson did. He built Nick Fuentes up, and he ought to take responsibility for that, just as
he's really coming at Tucker. Tucker Carlson is backstage right now. He's backstage about to speak, and he's calling Tucker Carlson out. This man is mad. No one is building Nick Fuentes up. Allow people to operate in the marketplace of ideas. If Nick Fuentes is such a bad individual, people would see that and they will make the decision for themselves. You don't make the decision. The people do. You said earlier in this speech that you guys are the creators of thought, or something of that nature. The creators of thought in this industry. If people don't like what Nick Fuentes has to say, then they will not listen to him. If they do, then they will. Then therefore you lose. And so you're trying to silence people so that therefore you can win. It does not work that way. And people can see straight through that shit, Ben. Let it go.
Ought to take responsibility for glazing pornographer and alleged sex trafficker Andrew Tate, or for mainstreaming fake historian.
He had to say alleged sex trafficker Andrew Tate. Nothing wrong with Andrew Tate. I don't care how y'all feel about Andrew Tate. He has not been proven to be sex trafficking anybody. So stop peddling lies and conspiracy like you would say Candace Owens is doing. Don't peddle that. There's nothing wrong with Andrew Tate. He just promotes masculinity. And y'all don't like it because he's not going to get in y'all same program. You're the corporate Republicans that people don't respect anymore because people want to hear truth. They want to hear truth. And that's it. You guys are acting like, I'm going to say it again, you're acting like the liberals. You're acting like the liberals trying to silence people for the information that you don't like to hear. Period.
And pseudo-Nazi apologist Daryl Cooper as America's best and most honest popular historian. Hosts are indeed responsible for the guests they choose and the questions they ask those guests.
Says who? Like, who was the police of that? Who decides what host can host somebody and what questions should be asked? Like, who makes that decision? Again, you're acting like the liberals. Who makes that decision about who can be platformed and what they should be asked? Who is the police of that? You guys are trying to silence free speech, the same thing that you fought for. This is why the conservative movement is breaking apart and splitting, because you guys are acting the same way that you fought against for the past 8 to 10 years, y'all. It's sad. It's absolutely sad.
Fourth, because we have a duty to truth, we also have a duty to provide you with evidence of the claims that we make. Emotive accusations, conspiracy theories, and just guessing questions, that's lazy and stupid and misleading. None of them are a substitute for truth. None of them are a substitute for evidence. So when Candace Owens says, I don't know, but I know, that is retarded. And we are all more retarded for having heard it. When Steve Bannon, for example, accuses his foreign policy opponents of loyalty to a foreign country, he's not actually making an argument based in evidence. He's simply maligning people that he disagrees with, which is indeed par for the course from a man who was once a PR flack for Jeffrey Epstein.
He's only mad at the people that are against what he ultimately wants, the Israel-American coalition. It's that simple, y'all. And I'm not mad at him for it. It is what it is. Do what you got to do. But all this shit that you're doing right now is fake, bro. It's not real.
Check the record. Our duty to provide you evidence means we actually have to do much more than just ask questions. Just asking questions is something my 5-year-old does. And it's really cute when it comes from my 5-year-old. But when grown men and women spend their days just asking questions without, seeking answers, they are lying to you. In fact,
asking questions is very important. You're telling the people to not ask questions. You're telling them to just shut up and go with the program. We're done with that in America, bro. We've dealt with that for over 50 years. We're not doing it anymore.
They're doing something even worse. They are seeding distrust in the world around you, and they are enervating you in the process. So, for example, if many speakers, including Tucker Carlson and others, get on stage here at tpusa and claim, without proper evidence, that Jeffrey Epstein was running a Mossad rape ring being covered up by the Trump administration, they are not actually uncovering a conspiracy or effectuating a solution. They are claiming a special provenance to information they won't let you see, which builds their power and leaves you with none.
Again, there it goes. Brought up Mossad. He's trying to protect the Israel cause. That's all he's trying to do. He's just trying to protect the Israel cause. And it's okay, Ben. Just be honest about who you are. You got the hat on, bro. It is what it is. Just be honest. Be honest. But they're in their right to ask these questions. And you're saying asking questions is wrong now? Answer them. Answer them. Shut them up. Make them look stupid. But you guys don't ever answer the questions. That is the problem that people have with y'all.
They are also implicating in their speculation actual human beings, good human beings like Kash Patel and Dan Bongino and Pam Bondi, and yes, the President of the United States, even if they're too cowardly to say President Trump's name.
They ran on a campaign that they were going to release the Epstein files, but then when they got into office, they said the Epstein files is a hoax. And we're not supposed to ask questions about that. We're the crazy ones for asking questions about why are you now saying that this is a hoax? You're clearly covering up for something. We don't know. Why? Because they have all the information. They're the ones that are covering it up. So no, we don't have the facts to give to you. But why are you hiding it? Why are you now saying that it's a hoax, but you ran your whole campaign on, we're going to release all the files and we're going to expose everything. But now it's a hoax. But we're the wrong person. We're in a conspiracy theory land. Bro, read the room, Ben. Read the room.
And that means you won't trust those good people in the future. You haven't gotten smarter, you've just been manipulated.
No.
When forced to demonstrate their evidence, these same people will often refuse to provide it. They'll claim ignorance. They'll pretend they're outside the system. And they don't have access to actual information. You know, they're just asking questions. But many of these same people have direct pipelines to informational sources. So, for example, if Tucker wants answers to his questions about, say, Jeffrey Epstein, he could call the Vice President of the United States. He's quite close with him. But he won't, because that might undermine the empty speculation. None of this means there aren't actual real conspiracies in the world. Of course there are. But actual conspiracies require actual evidence. Yes, there was a Russiagate conspiracy, and we know the names of the people involved and what they did. We know Hillary Clinton and Fusion GPS and James Comey and Loretta Lynch and Adam Schiff. We know all of those people. Yes.
But we didn't know them at first. See, that's the thing. Like, we knew about the Russiagate conspiracy, but we didn't know all the details of it until years later, 7 years later. This is the point. You have to ask these questions to get to the point of having the disclosure. You don't just get it right away. You have to ask the question to get the information. So yes, what you just said is true, but it's not true. It's bullshit.
There was a COVID-19 conspiracy. We know that Anthony Fauci worked to shut down alternative solutions from people like Jay Bhattacharya. But when people posit a conspiracy and then provide you no evidence, they are doing.
No one could have provided you evidence at the time about Anthony Fauci and the C-19, whatever you want to call it. I don't want to get banned. TikTok, YouTube, I love you. Be nice to me. Until years later. We found this out years later. But they're asking the questions now, and you're mad at them for asking the questions now. That's why we think that you are suspect, bro. You are suspect.
Doing you a fundamental disservice, and they are making you stupider in the process.
Stupider.
Finally, because it is our job to make the lives of our audience better, right? That's really our job, is to give you more information to make your lives better. We have a duty to propose solutions. That's why we have to talk about our problems in order to find the solutions. That's what politics was supposed to be about, after all, finding solutions to our common problems. If we speak endlessly about the problems we face, without ever positing a solution other than wrecking the system or centralizing power in a cult-like figure, we are not finding solutions. We are merely making problems worse. Just asking questions, positing vague conspiracies, raving like Alex Jones about the secret confederacies that control your life, none of it makes your life better. None of it. In fact, it makes your life markedly worse. That's because if you truly come to believe that nothing in your life is in your control, you can't even take control of your own life. You despair of your ability to change your own circumstances, and then you fail. And you must not fail.
What this nigga talking about? What the fuck is he talking about?
Because here is the most fundamental truth of all in the United States. For all of its problems, many of which, a huge number of which, are real and serious, the United States is still the greatest country in the history of planet Earth.
That's the first thing he said that was right all night. You right. Greatest country of all time. Listen, hands down, greatest country of all time. That's the only thing that he has said all night long.
We have the greatest constitution ever devised by man. We have the greatest founding philosophy ever put to paper in the Declaration of Independence. In this country, You can make of yourself what you will. And if there are true obstacles standing in your way, we can all work together to remove them.
I agree.
That, by the way, is the essence of conservatism, that we live in a world created by God with a logic and a rationale, that we as human beings were created in God's image, as it says in the book of Genesis, with creative capacity and the power to choose, and that in a free country of limited government and defined powers, with property rights and equality under law, our destiny is in our hands, and that we all have a duty to make the most of that historic opportunity. Anyone who tries to convince you otherwise is lying to you, and they are making your life worse in the process. Now, that lie may feel...
How's it? I'm sorry, y'all. I'm just like, how are they making their life worse? Like, none of this shit is real. Like, look, I do this shit for entertainment, y'all. I'm gonna be real with y'all. I don't believe any of this shit is real. I don't like watching Netflix. I watch this shit, and this shit is my Netflix because I think all of it is a joke. Ben, no one's life is getting worse or better because of the stupid shit that you elitists like to say. Y'all are not that important in anyone's life at all. At all.
Good in the moment. It may excuse us from taking the corrective action we can take on a personal level to fix our lives. It might give us someone else to blame for our own failures. But in the end, the lie kills. Not just your future, but the country that we've been given. So, for those of us who talk for a living, that's our job. To discuss America's problems with truth and with evidence, to provide possible solutions, and to encourage Americans to succeed and make great decisions. We who speak to people on a regular basis, who have a microphone and an audience, we have duties to you. The duty to speak the truth. The duty to speak from principle, not personal feeling. The duty to take responsibility for our own actions. The duty to provide you with evidence to do more than conspiracize or just ask questions.
Everything starts with just asking questions. Everything does. You start asking questions that lead you to the truth. What are you talking about, bro?
And the duty to posit real solutions. And if we fail in those duties, you shouldn't listen to us. But you have duties too. Far more important duties. Duties to God and to yourself and to your families. The duty to do the best for yourself and your family and your country with the abilities that God gave you. The duty to be grateful for this extraordinary country. The duty to celebrate what we've all been given and to fight to preserve it. All of that, every bit of that, begins with truth. We owe you that quest for truth. You owe yourselves that quest for truth. And true victory only comes through truth. Thanks so much. Happy to take a couple questions.
I think that was absolutely pathetic. The whole entire thing. Like I said, he said some things in there about how America was great and all that. But he took his whole time at AmFest, Turning Point USA AmFest, to speak about nothing but Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens and how we should not be listening to them. You're trying to silence other people. People will make their own decision. Allow the marketplace to decide who is telling the truth and who's not telling the truth. If Candace Owens is a liar and Tucker Carlson is a liar and all that, let them be a liar. Let people have the autonomy to decide if they are liars or not. Because just what you're saying that you're right and they're wrong. Let people decide who is right and who's wrong. You wasted your whole time talking about Candace and Tucker Carlson. Nothing else. This was pitiful. Absolutely pitiful. You sound like a liberal, bro. A straight liberal. Because the only thing that you don't like about these people is that they have a different perspective on the Israel cause and the relationship that the United States has with Israel. That's the only difference, bro. The only difference. So let me know what y'all think about this in the comments below. I'm going to see what the comments and the questions that they have for him real quick. But other than that, let me know what y'all think in the comments down below. If I sound crazy, let me know. If I don't know what I'm talking about, let me know. I'm always willing to be, educated, giving more information. Like, I love this shit. This shit is entertainment for me. I love being informed on things. I do respect all of these figures in terms of the Ben Shapiro's, the Tucker Carlson, the Candace Owens, the Charlie Kirks. These individuals, they have so much information and knowledge in their head that I know that I don't have in my head at all. I'm gonna be real with y'all. I don't have it. I have not read enough books and I have not studied enough to know and understand a lot of the things that they're talking about. I'm gonna be real with y'all. But a lot of people see through this bullshit. And that's all I really have to say about Ben Shapiro and what he did today on tpusa and AmFest. That's really all I have to say.
Hi, my name is Jenna. I'm one of the co-presidents of the Turning Point chapter at JMU. I have a question. How do you balance telling the truth with delivery and speaking to people who disagree with you?
So I think obviously the truth comes first. We ought to be polite, but the truth comes first. And if you can tell the truth in a polite way, that's the best way to do it. But sometimes people perceive truth as impolite, and that's just the way of the world. You know, I rather famously have said that facts don't care about your feelings. And that happens to be true. You know, when you engage in a conversation, I've said this to a lot of people, when you engage in a conversation, it's very important to sort of determine the end of the conversation. If it's going to be impossible to tell somebody the truth in a productive way, you probably shouldn't engage in that kind of conversation, and you should make that judgment ahead of time. But truth always has to take precedence over politeness if the two come into conflict, particularly if you're talking publicly, as we all do for a living. I'm not talking about you're talking to your, kid and they bring you a macaroni painting and they're like, is it good or not? And you're like, no, this is terrible. And you stuff it in the trash. It is terrible. But, say that it's good. And then later you kind of put that. I understand. But when we're talking about politics and policy, obviously the truth has to come first, because if we can't agree on fundamental facts, there's no possibility for solutions.
You cited during your speech truth as the most important tenet of American conservatism. Why, therefore, did you call irrelevant the Israeli attack in 1967 on the USS Liberty, which left dozens of American servicemen dead and hundreds wounded?
So what I actually said
is
that looking at modern Israeli-American relations, looking at an attack that happened mistakenly by multiple Navy reports, multiple Israeli reports, and all available evidence, and using that attack in order to undermine today's relations between Israel and America, that's irrelevant. As irrelevant as it would be to cite a piece of evidence from World War II or from 1776 to define America's relations with, for example, Great Britain or Germany today. That does not mean that the attack wasn't horrible for the Americans involved, that it wasn't bloody and terrible. The Israeli government paid reparations to the people who were killed. If you look at the actual military record of what happened on the USS Liberty, it was clearly a mistaken and tragic attack. The people who frequently cite the USS Liberty, however, are not talking about the specifics of the USS Liberty. I suspect that the vast majority of people who bring this up are doing so in order to suggest that Israel deliberately attacked an American ship because Israel deliberately wants to harm America. It is connected generally with a larger point. I wonder if that's your point.
If the truth matters, then the Israeli government must be held accountable for that attack. The American flag was flying on that ship. You do not mistake an American ship for a foreign one when our flag is flying.
So, we can spend the rest of the time talking about the specifics of the U.S. Liberty attack, or you can actually go look at the naval investigations that were done, multiple naval investigations that were done.
We don't trust the investigations, bro. We don't. Y'all suspect, bro. Y'all suspect. And you always dodge the questions. You always act like it's not real. Y'all suspect, bro.
Reality is that people were flying Mirage planes for the Israeli military at the time. The USS Liberty was sailing in an area where it had essentially gone off-grid. The Israeli military mistook it for an Egyptian ship. They thought it was shelling Al Arish, which happened not to be true. In the initial attack, the American flag was knocked down, and then the attack went on for about 90 minutes. And then as soon, you can hear this, by the way, on the tapes of the Israeli pilots talking to each other, as soon as they realize that it's an American ship, they call off the attack, they speed a ship to try and help the USS Liberty. There have been multiple unfortunate friendly fire incidents between Allied forces, including, for example, in the Gulf War, where U.S. forces were responsible for killing about 9 British troops during the Gulf War. It's an unfortunate reality of war, but you're not answering my question, which is, what is your broader agenda in asking the question? Because I suspect that your question is not limited to your specific ire over an incident that happened in 1967.
No, you're dodging it. You're dodging this shit, Ben. You're dodging this shit, right? Like sometimes you have to take accountability. it's clear as day that you only care about that relationship because you're only defending that relationship because that's who you are. And I'm not mad at you for that, right? Like if I had roots in Africa, which I don't believe, I would defend that shit. So I ain't mad at you for it, but be honest about who you are. You're not America first. You care about where you are from, bro. Go back there.
I think we should question any foreign country's relationship with our government.
That's totally fine, but I'm just wondering why you
serve American interests.
Again, I'm perfectly fine with questioning any country's relationship with the United States. But again, I'm wondering what your motivation is in bringing up a 6-decade-old attack as though it is the #1 issue in assessing the relationship between Israel and the United States today.
It's an important issue to assess. We want to know all your intentions from back then to today. We want to know it all. It's not just about today. We want to know the history that led us up to today.
Well, many problems persist to this day, but it's interesting that you say 6-decade-old incident when there are many people in this audience who were alive for that attack, as if this is something that's irrelevant.
Well,
it doesn't.
No, it's just not particularly relevant to assessing the relationship between the United States and Israel today, in the same way that in 1967, there are a wide variety of countries with which the United States had different relations. Okay, it's clear you're not going to actually answer the question, so I'm happy to move to this one.
He running from the smoke, y'all. He running from the smoke. He's running from the smoke.
Unfortunately, this will be the last question.
Wait. Hi, my name is Natasha, and I'm a tpusa chapter member at Loyola Marymount University in Los Angeles. So my question is, just with the divide in the conservative movement right now, what is your suggestion as to how young people can kind of come together and bridge that divide and just, bring unity right now?
So again, I think that unity has to be reliant on first principles. No one would ask conservatives to unite with radical trans activists because that would be silly. And so we first have to decide what are the principles that we hold in common and then actually determine who are our allies in that particular fight. Now, again, the coalition may shift depending on the issue. That's kind of a normal thing in politics. Sometimes you're going to have different allies than you have with regard to other issues. But when it comes to how young people ought to decide what they believe, that's the thing I most care about. Because if I'm talking about the long-term trends of America, not merely the coalitions of the moment, which break and reform and break constantly. Right? George W. Bush's coalition was obviously not Donald Trump's coalition, and Donald Trump's coalition is not going to be J.D. Vance's coalition, meaning every politician has their own coalition. That's the nature of electoral politics. What I'm more concerned about is the trajectory of how people think and what people think. And so before determining how to unify with others, you should first decide what are the things that are important to you. What are your fundamental values? And then you should find people who agree with those fundamental values, because the problem is if you don't, then when push comes to shove, things come apart pretty quickly. Take one more.
Hi, Ben.
This guy's a fraud, y'all. He's a fraud. He's a fraud.
Big fan of yours and stuff, and I'm currently a college sophomore, and my university just started a chapter and it got approved. So just for your advice, how can we spread conservatism on campus and any hate or anything like that? Just combat that. And what would be words of encouragement?
I mean, my words of encouragement are look at Charlie Kirk. Right? That's the word of encouragement. Charlie was your age when he started doing this. Again, I referenced earlier that I met Charlie when he was 18 years old. It was actually a David Horowitz Freedom Center conference, and Charlie was going around trying to meet donors. And I saw this really nerdy, tall, gangly kid walking around trying to meet people, and I started introducing Charlie to a few of his sort of original donors. And I, by the way, in the first conversation with Charlie, I've said this before, but it's true. Charlie walked away, and I turned to my friend Jeremy Boring. I said, that dude's going to be the head of the RNC one day. Because Charlie was just that much of a go-getter, and it turns out that he was a lot bigger than that.
He's full of shit. He's so full of shit, y'all. I'm so sorry.
I think that everyone has the potential to do that. Not everybody has the same exact skill set, and you have to find the skill set that best suits you. Maybe you're great at debate. Charlie was great at debate. Actually, what's fascinating about Charlie is that Charlie made himself great at debate. I knew Charlie when he wasn't great at debate, and then I knew Charlie when he was great at debate. He actually cultivated a skill set, and it was really impressive and cool to watch him do that. That's something you can do too. So again, if Charlie can do that, a raw kid out of high school, no college degree, and build the most powerful conservative organization in America, then you can do it too, because that's what America's all about. You're an American, go do it. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I think he's absolutely full of shit. I'm sorry. I think he's absolutely full of shit. But let me know. This was a long ass video, y'all. I'm sorry that it was so long, 45 minutes. Let me know what y'all think in the comments down below. If I'm wrong, if I'm crazy, please let me know. Please educate me, inform me. But I think he's completely full of shit. That's just my perspective. And I respect Ben. I believe he's so intelligent. I remember watching him on the Breakfast Club, and like the way he broke a lot of things down, like he's so effing smart. So I have nothing but respect for Ben Shapiro. Nothing but respect. But I think it's full of shit. And I think that he does have an allegiance to a particular foreign nation. And that's okay. I'm not mad at him for that. But I just want him to be honest and real about that. Like, just be honest. And a lot of people that are going against what he fought about tonight is because everyone is talking about America. We're not talking about, we don't need to have any foreign policies that we're now just converging with some foreign nation. No, fuck that. We'll talk to y'all later. It's about us. It is about us, everything, and everybody else later. I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. Let me know what y'all think in the comments down below. Like always, like, comment, and subscribe. Shout out to Batman. I got to shout out to Batman. I did. Hey, Batman, I told you I'm going to get you. Shout out to Batman. Like, comment, subscribe. Hit the notification bell to be notified. Please send me videos that y'all want me to react to and go over. But this Candace Owens, tpusa, Charlie Kirk situation, it has had me I'm so engulfed into it right now. And so that's where my focus is. So let me know what y'all want to talk about. But I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. And I'll see you on the next one.